How's it going? Mr. Deadman here of the Dead Man's Tone podcast. They are trying to cancel Jesus. They want to cancel Jesus now. It started with the Confederate statues, which is like, okay, fine. They belong in a museum. Fine. And then it's what presidents. It's George Washington. It's Thomas Jefferson. Even Abraham Lincoln's on the chopping block of statues to come down. And now it's Jesus. Shaun King. He was a member of the Black Lives Matter movement a while back. He was kicked out for some particular reason. I don't know exactly. Maybe it's his stupid ideas. Maybe it's because he's not black enough. I don't know. He does look like a white guy LARPing to be black. But, and I will say this, Jesus is much more ethnic than this guy. But Shaun King claims that, yes, I think the statues of white European of the white European they claim is Jesus should also come down. They are a form of white supremacy, always have been. In the Bible, when the family of Jesus wanted to hide and blend in, guess where they went? Egypt, not Denmark. Tear them down. What does this have anything, what? White supremacy, Jesus and white supremacy. How do you draw that? How do you get that? You have to do some sort of mental gymnastics to get that. You really have to. You really have to be a severely ignorant buttfuck to get that. Because Jesus wasn't even white, bro. His family wasn't even European, bro. They were Jewish. They were Arabic. I mean, they were in the Middle East. There's no way there would have been a European. No way. But here Shaun King claims that Jesus is a form of white supremacy. And he doubles down. He says, yes, all murals, stained glass windows of white Jesus and his European mother. Shaun King doesn't even know what he's talking about. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. European mother. Mary wasn't European. Based on what? Based on what, Shaun King? You are full of it. And their white friends should also come down. What, like the disciples? What? Oh, okay, now. They're all gross form white supremacy. Created as tools of oppression, racist propaganda. They should all come down. All should come down. This is what Shaun King is putting out there. Now, I think this is laughable. I think this is absurd. There's no way you guys are going to cancel Jesus, cancel Christianity. You know, this is the part where if Black Lives Matter embraces this, which I hope they do, you know what? I hope they don't, but part of me hopes they do. And I'll tell you why. If Black Lives Matter were to take this and embrace this, that's definitely the moment when Black Lives Matter will shatter. Because one thing that you could definitely say about the black community is that Christianity is pretty strong in it. Jesus is pretty strong in it. Especially if you're in the South. Oh boy. This would not go well at all. You're going to try to tell Black Lives Matter people to tear down statues of Jesus, to vandalize churches and whatever. They shouldn't have any part of that, especially from the South. Now, I've seen what happened in D.C. where that church has been vandalized. And shame on those people. That's horrible. That's horrible right there. What did that church have anything to do with anything that they're protesting about at this point? Which, by the way, people have forgotten, or people are confused. Like George Floyd died. The people who killed him, they've been arrested. They're waiting on trial. Okay, justice is being served. But anyway, yeah, they're trying to cancel Jesus. And I really think, knowing what I know, and probably knowing what you know as well, of how it is to be black in the South. Of course, I'm not a black person interacting with black people. Most people I work with are black. I'm like the only white guy there. Look, the Christianity is pretty strong. Having faith in Jesus is pretty strong. So if you're going to advocate to tear down Jesus and tear down Christianity, that's when I think there's really going to be this push, a resistance against Black Lives Matter. I really hope so. That's why I think tomorrow, later on this week, I would like to see people try to double down and justify this. And some of them are. Some people are. Some people are trying to say that the Bible justifies slavery, that Jesus condoned slavery, and therefore he should be taken down. Now, it is true that in the Bible there is slavery. It is true that even the Old Testament and New Testament, slavery is talked about. And there's rules about how to treat your slaves and how much they're worth and all that. That is true. Now, also keep in mind the time period in which the Bible originated from. An oral tradition at first, and when it finally repented, but still, slaves were still a thing. And not just black slaves, white slaves too, Jewish slaves, okay? It's a very complicated history. Slaves were throughout history. And I guess it's so complicated that not even God could solve it. God was like, people, human beings, they're just going to use each other for cheap labor. The best I could do is, I don't know, let them be ethical about it. Jesus was like the progressive figure of his time. Whether you believe he's really the Son of God or some sort of prophet or what have you, he's the progressive figure of his time. So yeah, I mean, even in the New Testament, there were passages that were questionable about slavery, and you could find them. In the New Testament, I think it was Tim 1:10 that included a list of slave traders as those that were lawless. Probably because maybe they acquired slaves illegally. Okay? So, I mean, while you could say the Bible allows slavery and it's one way, I guess, people use one thing that people use to justify slavery. That's not an excuse to tear down Jesus or Christianity. Christianity has gone through many reforms, and for a good reason. Because there's some things in the passages that we just don't do anymore as Christians. Like, we don't stone our kids, literally throw boulders and rocks at our kids for being, belligerent and drunks. Right? We don't do that for good reason. So there's reforms have happened, which is going to happen with any sort of religion to adapt to, I guess, a different sort of moral compass or whatever. That's okay. That happens. To just say, I want to tear it down, we should tear it down because as this, you totally don't understand the reform that has happened in Christianity, and shows how ignorant you are. And it definitely shows how ignorant you are about the power of Christianity in America. It's very significant. The church is very significant, especially with black people. In the South, it's very, very much ingrained in everyone's life. So, if Black Lives Matter wants to double down and takes the bait and take the bait and take what Shaun King said, let them do it. And let them see what happens. Oh, it would be great. Because that will be one of the tipping points. That definitely will be. But you let me know what you think about this in the comment section. You think they're going to cancel Jesus for real? I mean, what would happen if they try to really push for this? If they actually push for this to start, if there's crowds of Black Lives Matter, probably with like white Antifa members in because Antifa has pretty much infiltrated Black Lives Matter. I mean, they've taken it over. And Black Lives Matter allowed it, by the way. It's a Marxist movement. It's not really about Black lives anymore. It's a Marxist movement. What will happen is when they start defacing churches all around, start really vandalizing, you're getting a lot of people pissed off. Latinos really pissed off. Latinos pissed off. Blacks pissed off. Whites pissed off at these motherfuckers. And what's going to happen is there might be a point to where we're no longer just like complaining about it, and we're doing something about it at these churches, willing to fight to defend them, protect them. That's what's probably going to go down. But maybe I'm wrong about that. You let me know in the comment section what you think about this. Y'all take it easy.